Kia ora koutou. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 44 of Only a Podcast. Say hello, Captain.
Hello, Captain. Kia ora whānao. Yeah, everything's good. Everything's good. And I've got a list here that that's coming up, if I can the list merely says film, TV, music, theatre, rant, question. Which is basically what we do most of the time, isn't it?
Pretty much it, yeah.
It's stuffed everything into yet another episode.
Oh, it's quite good, though, because now we've been doing weekly episodes. It's ticking along, I think. Feels a bit more...
Yeah, we're ticking.
More alive, yeah. Ticking over.
More current.
Yeah, not trying to cram everything in every 2 or 3 weeks. So, speaking of current, hot off the press, the Mercury Prize was announced.
Indeed.
As usual, we picked it, didn't we?
No, not as such.
Didn't. So, Ezra Collective, which was a great album. Wasn't my choice.
I enjoyed it.
Yes,
it was very good. I thought they just went absolutely bonkers when they won, and there were some great clips on that show, I have to say.
I caught a couple of little bits on Instagram. I want to try and watch the whole thing later.
That's it. Yeah, there was some great live performances there. Jessie Ware kicked it off with a thumping disco tune, and it just got better from there, really. So, some good stuff there. Yeah,
good. I'll have a look at that later. Yeah, good stuff. All right, so what have you been up to?
What have I been up to? This week's cinema viewing, going to see Scrapper.
Oh, yeah.
Which is kind of Ken Loach-y, a tale of woe and hardship in England. But this one's got kind of extra feels and colourful things going on in it that the director, Charlotte Regan, threw in because she thought that it shouldn't be all endless grey tales of woe in films like that, and fair enough. She's come from a sort of music video background. She's done lots of videos, apparently. I haven't watched any of them, but for grime and rap stars.
Right.
But this is really good, including amazing performances from a first-timer called Lola Campbell, who's the main protagonist in it, who basically was lost a mum and lives alone and steals bikes for a living and sells them to a contact, and pretends that her carer is her uncle called Winston Churchill when the authorities phone up just to see how she's getting on. But deadbeat dad, who's played by Harris Dickinson, comes along, and it all ticks off from there because she's not really sure about him, really, because he's been a bit of a waster in the past.
Right. I want to see this one. Yeah, I've got to get out and see this one.
It's one thing I will say is it probably will put Lola and Harris, especially Harris, I think, in the frame for some bigger roles.
Right.
And awards, and bigger films. I think. I think we're going to see Harris Dickinson again, certainly.
Right.
Cool film.
Thumbs up from the captain.
Yeah,
good one.
Definitely.
Good one. I went out to the theatre this week. Well, not really the theatre, sort of arts space in town. It's the start of the Dunedin Fringe Festival, and there's always good stuff there to see. Saw this play, which was put on by the students of a local high school, where the missus happens to work, in conjunction with the girls' school. And the play is called Bystander 9/11. I don't know if you've ever heard of this. It's written by someone called Meron Langsner, American guy. And this was written just after 9/11 happened. It was like within a month of it happening. And I'll just read it because they say it better than I do. Drawn from the experience of New Yorkers during September 11th attacks and their immediate aftermath, Bystander 9/11 bears witness. Its journey begins in the subways underneath the Twin Towers and continues in a changed world as it explores what it means to be a New Yorker, to be American, and to be a human in the midst of world-shattering historical events. So you got all these, they're all school kids, like 16, 17 years old, whatever, all playing these parts. Starts off there on the subway underneath when it happens. And it's a story of their experience of getting out of the subway and becoming bystanders and afterwards and the next day. And Oh my God, there wasn't a dry eye in the house. It was incredible.
Wow.
It was absolutely incredible. I'm not really plugging it because you can't go see it again. It was a one-off, but I would say if this play ever comes up, it gets performed all around the world.
Yeah.
If someone somewhere near you is doing this play, do go and see it. It was amazing. But well done to them kids that performed in it. They were great. So excellent. Yeah, that was good. Enjoyed that a lot. Also, last weekend went out again. How about that? Twice a week in the same venue. I might add in the local arts venue. My daughter, my 15-year-old, she's found herself in a band doing a bit of vocals, and obviously didn't want parents to go see them, obviously, because we're not anywhere near cool enough. But we did. We snuck in, and they're really good. All girls, all sort of 15, 16, 14 to 16 years old, I think. Drums, guitar, bass, vocals. They're really, really good. Cool. It was excellent. It was a bit Riot Girl sort of thing.
Excellent.
As soon as they started playing, I just thought Belly. You remember Belly from the 90s?
Yeah.
Big fan of Belly. I liked them a lot. Yeah. So, it's that kind of vibe. And I've suggested that they do a cover of Feed the Tree. I think it'd be marvellous if they did that. So I've suggested that to her, but obviously she won't listen because she's a teenager. So
or Cannonball by the Breeders.
Or Cannonball, something like that. Or something by Courtney Love. That kind of thing. But that's from the old days. So
I know.
It's 30 years ago, mate. So, so they're called Eris, ERIS, Eris. So on Instagram, we'll give them a name check.
Great. Yeah. And a link.
Yeah. What else?
Our tens of viewers can have a look.
Tens. In their dozens, they'll be listening. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Right. What have I got? Let's go to the telly. A local production here called Family Faith and Footy, I think. Anyway, those 3 words feature. And I'm not all that about rugby, It seems strange to say that with living here and all that kind of thing. But this was very, very good indeed. It's about an hour and a half's worth of a celebration of Pasifika rugby players and the communities they live in and their whānau and all that kind of thing. And it's centres really on the human side of it rather than the super sporty side of it. Although obviously they are rugby players, so you do get that too. But it's basically about how they've had to travel the world to make money and be spurned by the All Blacks because of that. They see their chance and they go and do it because they feed money back to the islands. They support extended families and all that kind of thing, and that's what they have to do. It gets very emotional in places. And the byline is a story about small islands, big dreams, and the sacrifices made by many to produce some of the world's greatest players. And from a large selection of teams, there's Bundy Aki sitting there in the Irish team, the best team in the world probably at the moment. Could be controversial, but yeah. So that's a good. It's on TVNZ Plus. It's a good watch, even if you're not into rugby. I think we all pretty much enjoyed it in this house. So that was my first TV thing. And the second one is the return of Bob Mortimer and Paul Whitehouse in Series 6 of Gone Fishing. And that's same of, more of the same, really.
Yeah.
But I enjoy it, so that's good. A couple of really deep belly laughs in this. Bob falls down in the river almost in this one. They go fishing for chub on the River Wye, and the producer gets the drones out, and the scenery is fantastic. And it's Ted the dog's 10th birthday as well in this. So
it's funny you talk about fishing for chub on the River Wye because Bob falling in because I went fishing for chub on the River Wye a few years ago and I fell in.
Yeah,
never done that before.
There you go. Oh,
it'd been a huge downpour the day before. It was in flood, and I was in my chest waders, and it was teeming. The river was teeming through. It's a mighty river, it was teeming through, and because it was up by a metre, I thought there was some floor, and there wasn't. It was some river. So I went in up to my chest. So yeah, I had a wader full of River Wye.
There you go.
Yeah, but it could have been
You
quite
should
bad.
watch.
I will watch.
It could be you. It's I did think when it came on the screen for the first time that water looks a bit brown.
Yeah.
So I think it's a similar kind of situation.
That's the best time to be fishing for chub, just after one of those.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Not that I do that sort of stuff anymore, but there you go.
Nah.
Yeah, I will check that out. I started watching something last night. It was just there. It was on, and it looks like it's going to be absolutely crap. But I think I've watched it once, so I'm hooked now. And it's called The Traitor, I think. Claudia Winkleman.
It's a franchise series, isn't it? You're watching the British one.
Is there another one?
There is a New Zealand one, but it's apparently nowhere near as good as the British one.
Yeah. Well, I just saw the first episode last night, so yeah, they've got to go around being bad, but not getting caught and making people think it's fine. You know, it'll be. I don't know. Maybe I'll watch it. Maybe I won't. But I watched the first one last night and it was all right.
Is Bradley Walsh in it? Is he in anything else?
No. Claudia Winkleman though. So
got a British program without Brad. Excellent.
I wonder when was the last day on their television that Bradley Walsh wasn't on.
That he wasn't on.
I wonder.
At least twice.
Yeah.
Twice a day and sometimes more.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Good for him. Why not? He's all right.
That's not the rant we've got in the programme.
No, have I got a rant? Have you got a rant? Have I got one?
I've got another. Well, it's not really. Is it a rant? No, it's not really a rant. It's kind of. But But I was out the other day in the shops, and I thought I'd just pop into JB Hi-Fi. For those people who don't know, it's kind of a chain thing. What is it like? What's the equivalent in the UK?
What is it,
Our
Dixon?
Price or something like that.
Dixon's back in the day, but that sort of thing.
Yeah. Anyway, so they've got all electronica, TVs and music. I went in, I thought, and there were lots of red stickers all over, and I thought, this is a sale, fantastic, brilliant. There's some kind of sale on. But I soon realised that the sale was on not because of marketing reason, but because of a very basic reason that the shop was bursting at the seams with vinyl. And there were bins under the racks and signs pointing people to saying, more stuff at your feet. You know, basically crouch down and have a look under here because there's millions under here. And I sort of started wandering around and there was a big team of JB Hi-Fi people with their lanyards and all that kind of stuff, scratching their heads and wandering around. And it wasn't because people weren't buying vinyl at all, you know. But I reckon it was because of crappy record purchasing decisions by the shop. Okay. Because case in point, and quick, I'll do this. There's a lot of coloured vinyl of Creedence Clearwater Revival LPs, the classic ones.
That's hot right now.
60s and 70s. Yeah, but it's all well and good, but dozens of them.
Yeah.
It's
a niche market.
But that was probably not a good example because there were 4 or 5 copies of kind of what you'd expect to be some middle ground artists who were not, super famous and super popular. Neither are they completely obscure or hip. But somebody perfectly ordinary would have 5 copies of an album, and you just think they'll never sell them. They never sell them. And back in the day, you think, well, that band, there would only be 2 copies in here when vinyl was originally a thing.
Yeah.
So the buying policy is basically, it's vinyl. It's bound to sell a lot.
They haven't shut down some other stores, have they, and just shifted some stock in? Something like that?
No, not that I know. No. And I went to, but it was just there because a couple of days later I happened to go past a different one. Different part of town. I thought, I'll just go in there and look in here and see if it's the same thing. No such thing was there. It was pretty, sorted. So I wonder if they have different buyers for different shops. And the one in New Lynn just got it wrong and ended up with far too many albums. However, I did benefit. So I got Echo and the Bunnymen album for about half price.
Oh, nice.
Just to get it out of the shop. And also Record Store Day issue. I can never stand going to stores on Record Store Day. But there was Ian Dury, Reasons to be Cheerful, 12-inch for not very much money at all. So I got that.
Yeah.
So that was just my tale of thing. And I did mention to the wandering group of lanyarded employees that maybe they'd sort of slightly bought too many albums, and they all sort of nodded embarrassedly and walked away from me very quickly.
It's just a zero in the wrong place, that's all. Yeah. We didn't want 10 of these, we wanted one of these.
No, one. Yeah. Should have bought one. Mm.
There you go. There you go. I had a thought the other day. Well, I thought about it ages ago. But do musicians listen to music differently to non-musicians? I've often thought this, being what I would call a musician myself, of sorts. And it's got me thinking. So going back to like when I used to go to lots of gigs back in the in the heyday in the 90s, and mates would go along and they'd just get drunk and go up the front and jump around and go bananas. Whereas I would take my car, not drink, and I'd stand quietly at the side watching the bass player and the drummer, just studying it, live music. And I still do to this day. I'm watching their fingers, I'm watching how they move and, all that. And listening to music, especially over the last few years, I've learned a lot more about music. I've been sort of exploring jazz and stuff like that. So you have to be able to really listen to music to play jazz. So, I can listen, I can go, they've gone, that's a 1-6-2-5 progression there. Oh, they've modulated to the minor for the bridge. I can think like that. Non-musicians can't.
No.
So I wonder if their experience is completely different and probably better. I don't know. There are times when obviously you put some great music on and you jump around and it's great.
You just feel it.
But a lot of the time I'm really studying it, really,
Yeah. But you're feeling it and analysing it, I suppose. I don't know. Is that any more valid an experience? I'm not really sure. See, I'm kind of a musician, but I'm a musician who doesn't really know much about music. So it's different for me. As I said to you, I'm a harmonica player, as people know, some people know. And we have to ask what key the song is in. So I don't get.
So you pick the right harp out of the case, yeah.
I don't get that analysis. Yes, that's right. And I even have to, make sure that the letter is written on it.
I should say for new listeners that our theme music to the podcast, that's us. So that's me on guitar. That's that guitar
there. Steal it off anyone.
Shoulder. That's that guitar you can see there if you're on YouTube, and it's you blowing your harp. So
my
original
harmonicas
music
are in that corner there.
Interesting. So I'm going to put the word out on our socials.
Yeah,
because I've got I know a lot of people who are musicians and drummers.
Yeah.
So we'll put the word out and see what people think.
Yeah. And the other thing we could perhaps add, is the thing I mentioned, is that do people listen to music first or lyrics first? Because I'm definitely a music first man before lyrics. Some other people are not.
Yeah, I know.
I have to concentrate to listen to lyrics. I have to think, I'm going to listen to the lyrics now and play the song.
You've got different types of songs and different types of artists, right? So you've got Bob Dylan, for example. The music's not challenging, usually. The music is what it is. He's usually got a great band around him, but the music is what it is. Yeah. But it's all about the lyrics. It's definitely not about the melodies or the vocal performances. And then you got, as someone who's written a few songs, sometimes the lyrics don't matter at all. You pick up your guitar and you might find a little chord progression, or your piano, whatever you're at, and you do a little chord progression and you'll hum a melody into your phone recorder thing, and then you just try and make some words work, and it doesn't mean a thing. And there are plenty of songs out there and you're like, what's that all about? What? Huh?
Well, my case in point, as it happens, I was listening to Little Richard's 20 Greatest.
There you go.
I don't know, the famous Wop Wopaloo Bop, etc.
Yeah.
But Ooh My Soul just repeats things endlessly until he finishes 2.5 minutes later. But it's all fantastic stuff.
Yeah.
But it's hardly Proust.
No, it's about feelings, vibes, hooks, all those things, right? So I don't really pay much attention to lyrics, not really. No. Interesting. Funny, we talked about songwriting. I was going to ask you a question. I wrote it down here, but I didn't know if we'd do it, but I'll do it now. So I heard a pop trivia fact yesterday. Who's the only band where every member has written a number one single for that band.
Oof.
It's a British band. I'll give you a clue.
And we're not going to say the Beatles because that's daft. U2.
No.
No. Right.
I'll tell you the answer, then you try and name the songs. Queen.
Oh.
So Freddie, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
What did Brian write?
Brian?
I think he wrote a few, but number ones, I think he wrote We Are the Champions.
Oh, okay. John Deacon will be the Another One Bites the Dust dude.
Yeah. And
Rog. What did Rog write?
He wrote Radio Gaga.
Did he? Well, there you go. Okay.
There you go. It's a good one. Cool. Good one for the pub quiz.
Gene.
Yeah. Amazing.
I'm not a Queen devotee at all.
No.
I reckon. I think I've said before. I recognise the showmanship and the sheer force they could assemble from the stage, but it's the early bits for me, and one or two of the later songs, and the Live Aid performance, of course. But no, I wasn't a massive fan.
I was thinking about Live Aid. Why was I thinking about Live Aid?
I
was listening to that interview. I should have written this down actually on the latest episode of Word in Your Ear. Can you remember the guy's name? He's the session player. I think the song's called Absolute.
Kevin Armstrong. You said Kevin
Armstrong. The song's called Absolute Beginner, I think, and it's memoir. He's worked with them all. You know, he's worked with all the big guns.
He was in Bowie's band at Live Aid.
Yeah. And everyone else. And that got me thinking. I've never seen Live Aid. I've never seen it. Didn't watch it at the time. I remember exactly where I was.
Okay.
I was on my holidays. I didn't watch it.
Right.
Yeah,
I saw it.
I've never seen it. Obviously, I've probably seen it all.
I sat in front of the telly with the windows open on a sunny day and stayed in and watched most of it. I got a bit bored during the American one, though. There was some terrible performances on that one.
Poor Paul McCartney, he always gets the technical gremlins, doesn't he, on these big things? Poor bugger. Yeah, but no, I never saw it, Live Aid. I was 16 at the time. Yeah, I was away on my holidays in Cornwall. Yeah, anyway, there you go.
Cool.
All right, I reckon we'll call it a day there because you need to get some sleep, don't you? Because you've had an early start today.
Yeah, I was at the airport to pick up my daughter at 4 a.m. So, and it's now 1 p.m. Yeah. And I've had a day already, more or less.
So we'll wrap it up there. I've got to get back to work. So thanks for listening, everyone. If you like us, click like. If you don't like us, click like twice. I think. Indeed. Something like that.
Or 3 times.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah.
And
stay in touch on the socials and all that. And we'll see you soon. Say goodbye, Captain.
Goodbye, Captain.
Bye, folks.
Marty one.